Bambiz Marketing presents Elder Law Growth, the podcast that helps elder law and estate planning attorneys attract clients without wasting time or money. I'm your host, Amy Hurst. Let's dive in.
And here's what they'll do. They'll work hard to get a talk, and there's 50 people in the audience, and they'll go and do their talk, and they'll maybe hand out some business cards and maybe some pens and stuff. And then they go, I'm over there if you need me. And then everybody goes and has lunch and nobody talks to them. And it's like, here's how you should do a talk, right? So just say this. And this is the talk I want everyone that's listening to this to get in their head before they do a talk, right? And it's easy peasy lemon squeezy.
That was Antonio Garrido. He is an award-winning author and a world-renowned leadership coach who transforms the average senior business executive into a top-tier leader. Antonio not only helps leaders tap into their full potential, he helps their companies become a lasting legacy that will last far beyond them. It's kind of a two birds with one stone kind of a thing with Antonio, and he is a very gifted leadership coach. Recently, Antonio came to our group of elder law and estate planning attorneys to share with us, in all of his years of training and learning, to share with us the secrets of what makes an exceptional leader exceptional. And in this podcast episode, you're going to get one of those secrets of what makes an exceptional leader. In this podcast episode, Antonio is going to walk us through from beginning to finish on how to get more referrals, how to book more consultations, how to get more speaking engagements, all with one tried and proven method that the exceptional leaders use. Because the hard truth is, as business owners, if our businesses aren't growing, they're dying. And to keep our businesses growing, we need to keep getting new clients. We get new clients by being proactive, by getting people in the door, by asking people to sign up. People just don't magically fall on our doorstep. Well, not all of them anyway. This one method that Antonio mentions in this episode is not only going to help you with getting more appointments booked, it's going to engage your audience. This is just what's killer about this method, is that when you're giving your live presentations, this method, if you use this method, it's going to streamline your presentation. It's going to help avoid all of that awkwardness and pushiness when it comes to asking people to sign up, because honestly, most of us save that hard part for the very end to ask people to sign up. But this kind of flips everything on its back. It reverses everything that we think about, and it works. And this is what this episode is all about. It's going to engage your audience in the very beginning. It's going to provide the crystal clear instructions on what you want them to do, and all of which you're not going to be salesy at all. If you don't like being salesy, but you need to find a way for your attendees to take that next step with you, this podcast episode is for you. Let's dive in.
So lots of lawyers, they love standing on a podium, and they love giving talks. In my experience, they actually quite like doing that. And they're in this luncheon club, and they're with their own particular chapter of something or other, and they'll do talks, and they'll go to networking events, and they quite like doing talks. And here's what they'll do. They'll work hard to get a talk, and there's 50 people in the audience, and they'll go and do their talk, and they'll maybe hand out some business cards and maybe some pens and stuff. And then they go, I'm over there if you need me. And then everybody goes and has lunch, and nobody talks to them. And it's like, here's how you should do a talk, right? So just say this. Say to everybody, hey, everybody, get out a business card or get a piece of paper. And this is the talk I want everyone that's listening to this to get in their head before they do a talk, right? And it's easy peasy lemon squeezy. So ask everybody to get out a business card and then say this. So this, I'll do it for you now, right? So hey, Amy, or hey, everybody, just before I start, thank you for inviting me here today. Get all those pleasantries out of the way and say, just before I start, everybody get out a business card or a piece of paper, write your name and email on top of that. Here's what I'd like you to do. And right in the middle of the piece of paper or the card, write Mrs. Q, M-R-S-Q. And if you've got a flipboard, write Mrs. Q in big letters, right? Or if you've got a PowerPoint, go Mrs. Q, right? Just M-R-S space Q. Write that on a piece of paper. Now, whilst I'm talking today, I may or may not say something, but you'll know when you hear it. And when you hear it, if you think, do you know what? I'd love to have a meeting with Antonio. Just put a big circle around the M and then hand the card in at the end. And I'll know that you want to have a conversation with me. You want to have a meeting with me. And somebody from my office within 24, 48 hours will reach out to you and try and set up that appointment. So if you circle an M, I know that you want to have a conversation with me, and that'd be great. Or I could be saying something and you'll know when you hear it and you'll think, you know, I'm not sure that I want to have a conversation with Antonio, but I think Auntie Mary might want to have a conversation. So you've got a referral for me, in which case put a big circle around the R because you've got a referral for me. And someone from my office will collect in the card, someone from my office will give you a call and say, who do you want to introduce us to? And you'll say Auntie May, and you'll tell them about it, and I'll call you up and we'll take that forward. That might not happen either. I might be so windswept and interesting today on stage that you think, well, I'm a member of another club or association that are always looking for speakers, and I know the speaker chair, and they're always looking for terribly interesting British people. So you might have a speaking event for me, and you put a big circle around the S, in which case someone from my office will call you and maybe me to see what the speaking event's about. Or you might just have a question. You might just say, what's the tax associated with somebody if they don't carry a British or an American passport? Maybe you've just got a question, circle Q, and somebody will reach out and ask what the question is and see if we can't help you out. It might be none of those things, and that's perfectly okay. It might be more than one of those things, and that's perfectly okay too. So you can circle more than one. But as I'm talking today, you'll know it when you hear it. And then, by the way, when I'm on stage, you'll see people circling things, and I just think, terrific, right? You'll see them doing it, and you'll know you're onto a good thing. So make sure that after you're done, you know, somebody or you put all the business cards in a bowl at the front, and you raffle a book, whatever. I don't care. And don't do anything that diminishes yourself. But just that's a great way. Is that soliciting? I don't think it is. Is that practice development? Yes, it is. And it's just a smart way of doing it. You will be staggered about the conversations that you're going to have that you wouldn't otherwise have had.
So the one proven method that the exceptional leaders use is Mrs. Q. I bet you haven't heard of that one yet, but it is quite exceptional and it is quite unique. And if you think about it, it really flips everything on its back, and it begins your presentation with such a streamlined feeling, gets them engaged. And another thing that Antonio didn't bring up with this method that I thought about, because I have gone to the live webinars, or the live workshops, I have gone to your live presentations as elder law and estate planning attorneys. I've been there, and I've been able to observe the people that go to your events, and there's a hidden benefit to this method that he didn't bring up that I know would work very well for your attendees, is that in most cases, there's a group of people in each presentation who go, a handful of attendees who aren't quite comfortable with that one-on-one conversation with you yet. And they're there because they want to hear you, they want to see you, but they're still on the fence. And they're not quite comfortable because there's a lot of introverts out there, and it takes them a little time to think about it. And they're still on the fence. With using this Mrs. Q method, if you have someone on staff, while you're giving your live presentation, have someone on staff sit by the back door and have them collect your attendees cards. So as they're leaving your presentation, there's someone else on your staff, someone friendly, someone to say, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being here. I'll take your card. If you wrote down your phone number, our attorney will be in touch with you within a day or two. Thank you so much for coming. It just gives that lasting effect of friendliness, of trust, of engagement. And it puts your attendees at ease that they don't have to go up to you just yet. I thought that would be a really neat hidden benefit for your group, especially for the older generation. So give Mrs. Q a try, see if it works. It definitely takes a lot of the awkwardness out, and see how it transforms your presentations. Thanks for listening to the Elder Law Growth Podcast, the place to be for all things marketing for elder law and estate planning law firms. If you liked this podcast, please leave us a review wherever you are listening to this podcast. If you'd like to outsource your marketing to our team, go to bambiz.net and book a free call with us today.